Min wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the air recycler. The machine hummed quietly now, no longer making that awful grinding sound. He smiled a little. Another problem fixed. Around him, Orbital Station Apex 7 buzzed with activity. The station was huge, floating in space like a small city made of metal and glass. Thousands of beings lived and worked here. Most of them were aliens from different worlds across the galaxy. Humans were still new to this whole galactic community thing. There were not many of them on stations like this. Min packed his tools into his worn toolbox. He wore simple gray coveralls with a name patch on the chest. The patch was faded and dirty. His job title was Environmental Systems Technician. Most people just thought of him as the guy who fixed toilets and air filters. A group of Velconian officers walked past him in the corridor. They were tall, with blue skin and 3 eyes. Their uniforms were crisp and clean, covered in medals and rank badges. They did not look at Min. To them, he was just part of the background, like a piece of furniture. "Excuse me," Min said quietly, stepping aside to let them pass. They did not respond. One of them almost bumped into his toolbox and made an annoyed clicking sound. Min moved the toolbox further to the side. This was normal. Min had worked on Apex 7 for 3 years now. Every day was the same. He fixed things that broke. He kept the station running, and people barely noticed he existed. He walked through the main corridor toward the service lifts. The corridor was wide and bright, with windows showing the stars outside. Shops and restaurants lined both sides. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the crowd. There were the insect-like Chitauri, the floating gas beings called Luminars, the 4-armed Kryn warriors, and dozens of other species. A Chitauri merchant almost walked into him. "Watch where you stand, human," the merchant hissed. "Sorry," Min said, moving out of the way. He reached the service lift and pressed the button. The main lifts were for officers and important people. Service workers used the smaller, slower lifts in the back corridors. The lift doors opened. Inside stood Haiwan, one of the human administrators who worked in the station's management office. She smiled when she saw him. "Min, how was your shift?" "Quiet," he said, stepping inside. "Fixed 12 recyclers, 2 water purifiers, and a broken door seal." Haiwan laughed. "You keep this whole station running, you know that." Min shrugged. "Just doing my job." "You do more than your job," Haiwan said. She was always kind to him. In fact, she was one of the few people on the station who treated him like a real person. "You should ask for a raise." "I am fine with what I have." The lift stopped at the residential level. Haiwan looked at her data pad and frowned. "Did you hear the news?" "What news?" "Supreme Commander Velthar is coming to the station. Tomorrow. The station commander is going crazy trying to prepare everything." Min's expression did not change. "That sounds important." "Important? It is huge. Velthar is a legend. He ended the sector wars, saved billions of lives. Every species in the galaxy respects him." Haiwan's eyes were bright with excitement. "I heard he has never lost a battle, not even one." "Interesting," Min said quietly. "They are setting up a whole ceremony, full military honors. Every officer on the station will be there." Haiwan paused. "Well, every officer and important person. People like us will probably just watch from a distance." The lift doors opened. They stepped out together. "Will you try to see it?" Haiwan asked. "Maybe, if I have time." Min shifted his toolbox to his other hand. "I have a lot of repairs scheduled for tomorrow." Haiwan shook her head with a smile. "You work too hard, Min. Take a break once in a while." "I like working." They said goodbye and Min walked to his small quarters. The room was tiny, just a bed, a desk, and a small bathroom. But it was clean and quiet. That was all he needed. He set down his toolbox and sat on the bed. Through the small window he could see stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, his home world. He had not been back in a long time. Min pulled out a small data pad and reviewed his work orders for tomorrow. 15 repairs scheduled. One of them was in the main docking bay, right where this ceremony would happen. He would need to finish that repair early in the morning, before the Supreme Commander arrived. The next day came quickly. Min woke up early, ate a simple breakfast, and headed to the docking bay. The station was already buzzing with energy. Cleaning crews worked everywhere, making every surface shine. Security officers checked every corner. Everyone was nervous. The docking bay was enormous. It could fit 20 large ships at once. Right now, workers were setting up platforms and decorations. Flags from different worlds hung from the ceiling. A red carpet stretched from the main airlock to a raised platform where Station Commander Jaxer would greet the Supreme Commander. Jaxer himself stood near the platform, barking orders at everyone. He was a Velconian, like the officers Min had seen yesterday. But Jaxer was bigger, with darker blue skin and scars across his face from old battles. He wore a uniform covered in so many metals it seemed heavy. Min walked quietly along the wall, carrying his toolbox. He found the broken air recycler near the back of the bay. Someone had put a decorative banner right in front of it. He moved the banner carefully and opened the recycler panel. The problem was obvious: a loose connection in the power relay. He would have it fixed in 10 minutes. While he worked, more and more people filled the docking bay. Officers in dress uniforms formed neat rows. Diplomats from various worlds took their places. News crews set up cameras. Everyone wanted to witness this moment. Min finished the repair and closed the panel. The recycler hummed to life, working perfectly. He picked up his toolbox and stood up. "You human," Jaxer's voice boomed across the bay. "What are you doing here?" Min turned. "Repair work, sir. Air recycler, it is fixed now." "Well, get out. The Supreme Commander's ship will be here in minutes. I will not have a maintenance worker standing around during the ceremony." "Yes, sir." Min started walking toward the service exit. An alarm chimed. A voice came over the speakers. "Supreme Commander Velthar's vessel approaching, docking in 2 minutes." The crowd stirred with excitement. Officers stood straighter. Diplomats adjusted their robes. Cameras focused on the main airlock. Min walked slowly. The service exit was on the far side of the bay. He would have to walk past the ceremony area to reach it. 1 minute to docking. Through the bay windows, Min could see the ship approaching. It was massive, larger than any vessel currently docked at the station. The hull was dark metal, covered in weapons and armor plating. This was a warship, a ship that had seen many battles. The ship connected to the airlock with a heavy clang. The docking seal engaged with a hiss. Everyone in the bay held their breath. The airlock doors opened. Supreme Commander Velthar stepped through. He was Kryn, one of the 4-armed warrior species, but he was huge even for a Kryn. He stood over 7 feet tall, with gray-green skin marked with battle scars. His 4 arms were thick with muscle. He wore black armor with red markings. Behind him came a squad of elite Kryn soldiers, each one looking deadly and disciplined. The crowd erupted in applause. Jaxer stepped forward, giving a formal salute. Min kept walking along the wall. He was almost to the exit, just another invisible worker that nobody noticed. Velthar's eyes swept across the docking bay. Then they stopped. They locked onto Min. Supreme Commander Velthar stopped walking. The entire docking bay fell silent. Thousands of eyes watched the legendary warrior. Jaxer stood frozen in mid-salute, confused. The Kryn commander was supposed to acknowledge the greeting, not stop and stare at the back wall. Min felt the weight of Velthar's gaze. He paused, his hand on the service exit door. For a moment he considered just leaving, pretending he had not noticed, but that would be disrespectful. He turned around slowly. Velthar's 4 arms moved. Each arm crossed over his chest, one after another in a complex pattern. It was the highest military salute in the Kryn Imperium, the kind of salute given only to royalty or legendary heroes. The Supreme Commander's deep voice echoed through the bay. "General." Every being in that docking bay went completely still. You could have heard a pin drop. T-Min stood there holding his toolbox. He looked at Velthar for a long moment. Then he gave a small nod, just a tiny movement of his head, nothing more. He turned back to the exit and walked through the door. It closed behind him with a soft hiss. In the docking bay, chaos erupted. "What just happened?" someone shouted. Did the Supreme Commander just salute a maintenance worker? He called him General. That human, impossible. Jaxer's 3 eyes were wide with shock. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. His carefully planned ceremony was falling apart. Velthar turned to face Jaxer as if nothing unusual had happened. "Station Commander, thank you for the warm welcome. Shall we proceed?" Jaxer stammered, Yes, of course, Supreme Commander, but that human, who was?" "That is his story to tell, not mine," Velthar said firmly. "Now you mentioned refreshments." The ceremony continued, but nobody could focus. Officers whispered to each other. Diplomats checked their data pads frantically, searching for information. News crews transmitted the footage across the galaxy. Within minutes, the entire station knew what had happened. In her office, Haiwan watched the recording for the 5th time. She sat back in her chair, stunned. T-Min, her friend T-Min, who fixed air recyclers and rarely spoke more than a few words, a general. Her office door burst open. Jaxer stormed in, followed by 3 security officers. "Pull the records," Jaxer demanded. "That human maintenance worker, T-Min, I want to know everything about him, right now." Haiwan opened her computer and searched the personnel files. T-Min, hired 3 years ago, environmental systems technician, perfect work record, never late, never complains, excellent performance reviews. Before that, where did he come from? What is his military service? Haiwan scrolled through the file, her frown deepened. It just says he is from Earth. No military service listed, no previous employment, no education records, just his current job here. "That is impossible," Jaxer snapped. "Everyone has a history, check again." "I am checking. There is nothing else in the file." Haiwan looked up at the station commander. "It is like he did not exist before he came here." Jaxer's skin turned a darker shade of blue, a sign of Velconian anger. "Find out who approved his hearing. Someone must know something." One of the security officers spoke up. "Sir, Supreme Commander Velthar is requesting a private meeting with you." Jaxer straightened his uniform. Finally, he will explain this madness. But when Jaxer met with Velthar in a secure conference room, the Kryn commander gave him nothing. "Who is that human?" Jaxer asked. "The maintenance worker you saluted, you called him General." "Yes, I did." "Why, what is his background? Is he some kind of spy, a security risk?" Velthar's 4 eyes stared at Jaxer calmly. "He is no threat to your station, Commander. I give you my word on that." "Then who is he?" "A man who wishes to live quietly. I will respect that wish." "Supreme Commander, please. You saluted him with the highest honor of your people. The entire galaxy is watching. People are asking questions. I need answers." Velthar stood. The conversation was over. Then they will have to wait. Some stories belong to the person who lived them. When he is ready to share, he will. Until then, leave him alone. Jaxer wanted to argue more, but you did not argue with Supreme Commander Velthar. The Kryn warrior had ended wars and saved civilizations. If he said to drop the matter, you dropped it. But Jaxer could not just let it go. As soon as Velthar left, he sent security teams to search for more information. He contacted Earth's government, asking about General T-Min. He checked military databases from every species in the galaxy. Nothing, nowhere did the name appear. Meanwhile, throughout the station, rumors spread like fire. In the officers' mess hall, Lieutenant Kexler told anyone who would listen. I heard he was a spy master, ran intelligence operations during the sector wars. No, no, another officer said. He is a deserter. That is why he is hiding here as a maintenance worker. You are both wrong, a diplomat chimed in. I heard he is Velthar's brother, saved from some secret mission. In the lower levels where the service workers lived, people told different stories. Team in, he is just a good guy, said Baxter, a luminary who worked in waste management. Helped me fix my quarters when the heat broke, never asked for anything in return. A young human security officer named Rinjo sat in the corner, listening. He had seen T-Min around the station many times but had never really talked to him. Now he wished he had. I saw him stop a fight once, Rinjo said quietly. Two drunk Chitauri were about to kill each other in the market. T-Min just walked up and said something. They both calmed down immediately. I do not know what he said, but they listened. I remember when the reactor had that problem last year, another worker added. All the senior engineers were panicking, could not figure out what was wrong. T-Min was there fixing a water pipe. He looked at their displays for maybe 30 seconds, then told them exactly what to do, saved the whole station. Rinjo leaned forward. So it is true, he really was a general. Nobody answered, they did not know. Haiwan decided to find out. After her shift ended, she went to T-Min's quarters. She knocked on the door. No answer. She knocked again. T-Min, it is me, Haiwan. The door opened. T-Min stood there in his civilian clothes, plain and simple. He looked the same as always, calm, quiet, ordinary. Can I help you? He asked. Can we talk? He hesitated, then stepped aside to let her in. His quarters were exactly as she expected. Clean, minimal. A data pad on the desk showing tomorrow's repair orders. A small plant on the windowsill, nothing personal. No photos, no decorations, no hints about who he really was. Everyone is talking about what happened, Haiwan said. I know. Supreme Commander Velthar called you General. T-Min said nothing. He sat down on his bed and looked out the window at the stars. Haiwan sat in the desk chair. I am your friend T-Min. I thought I knew you, but now I realize I know nothing about you. Not really. You know enough. Do I? Were you really a general? T-Min was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke, his voice soft. That was a different life, a different person. What happened? I did things I am not proud of, made choices that needed to be made but cost too much. When it was over, I needed to do something else, be someone else. So you became a maintenance worker. He nodded. I fix things now. Air recyclers, water purifiers, broken doors, simple things, honest work, it helps. Haiwan studied his face. There were lines around his eyes, marks of stress and age, scars on his hands that she had never really noticed before. Why here? Why this station? Because nobody asks questions. Because I can just be another worker. Or I could until today. Are you in danger? Is someone hunting you? No, nothing like that. T-Min finally looked at her. I just wanted peace. Is that so strange? Haiwan thought about it. No, I guess not, but people will not leave you alone now. You know that, right? I know. She stood up to leave. At the door, she paused. For what it is worth, I liked you better when you were just the guy who fixed my office heater. That person was good enough for me. T-Min smiled a little. Thank you, Haiwan. After she left, T-Min sat in the darkness of his quarters. He had known this day might come eventually. You could not hide forever. The past always found you somehow. He looked at his reflection in the dark window. The man staring back was older, quieter, calmer than the person he had been during the war. But the eyes were the same, eyes that had seen too much. Tomorrow people would stare at him, whisper about him, ask questions. His quiet life was over. But he would still fix the air recyclers, still repair the water purifiers, still do his job. Because that was who he chose to be now. Not a general, just a man who fixed things. The next morning, T-Min walked through the station corridors with his toolbox. Everything felt different. People stared at him. Some moved out of his way quickly as if afraid. Others tried to get closer, hopping to hear him speak. He ignored them all and focused on his work orders. At the cafeteria, he picked up his usual breakfast. Plain bread, some fruit, and water. The Chitauri server who usually ignored him now bowed deeply. "No charge today, honored one," the server said. "I pay for my food like everyone else," T-Min said quietly, placing his credit chip on the counter. The server looked nervous. "Please, it would be my honor." T-Min placed the chip down firmly. "I insist." He found an empty table in the corner and ate alone, but he felt hundreds of eyes on him. Whispered conversations stopped when he looked up. People pretended not to stare. Rinzhou, the young human security officer, gathered his courage and approached. "Excuse me, sir. May I sit?" T-Min gestured to the empty chair. "I am not a sir, just T-Min." Rinzhou sat down carefully like he was approaching something dangerous. "I wanted to introduce myself properly. I am Rinzhou, Security Division. I have seen you around. I wanted to say thank you for what you did during that market fight 6 months ago. You talked those Chitauri down before anyone got hurt." T-Min took a bite of his bread. They were just drunk and scared. They did not really want a fight. "How did you know what to say to them?" "I listened. Fear sounds the same in every language." Rinzhou wanted to ask more questions. About the war, about being a general, about Velthar. But something in T-Min's calm expression stopped him. Instead, they ate in comfortable silence. After breakfast, T-Min headed to his first repair job, a water purifier in the diplomatic sector. But when he arrived, Haiwan was waiting for him. "I need to talk to you," she said. "I have work to do." "This is important, please." They walked to a quiet observation deck. Through the windows, stars stretched endlessly. A supply ship drifted past in the distance. Haiwan pulled out her data pad. "I have been looking into things, not because I am trying to expose you, but because I am worried. People are digging T-Min. Station security, news agencies, even government officials. They want to know who you are." "And what did you find?" "Almost nothing. Your file is too clean, too empty, like someone erased your past." She showed him her pad. "But I found mentions of something called the Ghost Division, human special operations during the sector wars before Earth officially joined the galactic community." T-Min's face showed no emotion. "The records are heavily redacted," Haiwan continued. "But there are references to human soldiers operating behind enemy lines, doing things that regular forces could not do, saving worlds that everyone thought were lost." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because one of those worlds was Cairn 4, Velthar's homeworld." She looked at him carefully. "You saved his people, did not you?" T-Min turned to look at the stars. "That was a long time ago." "How long?" 20 years, maybe more. I do not keep track anymore." Haiwan sat down on a bench. "What happened there?" T-Min was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was distant, like he was seeing something far away. "The Kryn were losing. Their world was surrounded by enemy forces, millions of civilians trapped in the capital city. The Galactic Council said it was impossible to save them, too heavily defended, too dangerous. But you went anyway. 32 soldiers. That was all Earth could send without revealing our existence to the galaxy. We went in quiet. No support, no backup, no extraction plan." "That sounds like suicide." "It almost was. We lost 14 good people getting those civilians out." T-Min's hands tightened on his toolbox handle. but we saved 3 million Kryn, including Velthar's mate and children. Haiwan's eyes went wide. His family. Velthar was off-world, leading the last Kryn fleet in a desperate fight. He could not save his own people. We did it for him. T-Min turned away from the window. Now you know, does it change anything? It explains a lot, Haiwan said softly. But it also makes me wonder, if you were that important, why are you here? Why hide? Because I am tired of war. Tired of deciding who lives and who dies. I just want to fix water purifiers and go to sleep without nightmares. He walked away, leaving Haiwan alone with her thoughts. But the questions did not stop. Throughout the station, people pieced together fragments of information. In the security office, Rinzhou compared old reports. 6 months ago, an armed intruder had broken into the station's pharmacy, demanding medical supplies. Security was preparing to storm in when T-Min happened to be nearby, fixing a door panel. The official report said the suspect surrendered peacefully, but Rinzhou pulled the surveillance footage. He watched T-Min approach the intruder calmly, unarmed, while security officers shouted for him to get back. T-Min spoke to the intruder for less than 2 minutes. The armed being put down their weapon and started crying. T-Min put a hand on their shoulder. Then he walked them out peacefully. Rinzhou checked the suspect's file. A father whose child was sick, who had no money for medicine, who was desperate. T-Min had somehow seen past the weapon to the scared parent underneath. How did you learn to do that? Rinzhou wondered. In engineering, Senior Tech Officer Beckner told anyone who would listen about the reactor incident. Last year the coolant system started failing. Temperature rising, alarms everywhere. We tried everything. Nothing worked. Station was 30 minutes from total meltdown. What happened? A junior engineer asked. That human, T-Min, was there replacing a pipe fitting. He looked at our control panel for maybe 30 seconds. Then he pointed to a valve we had not even considered, said to check the pressure regulator on line 7. We thought he was crazy, but we were desperate. And he was right. The regulator had failed, causing a cascade pressure problem. We would never have found it in time. He saved 15,000 lives that day. Beckner shook his head. And you know what he did after? He went back to fixing his pipe, like it was nothing. In the medical bay, Dr. Yunmai, one of the station's human doctors, checked her old messages. She found one from 3 years ago. A request for information about someone named T-Min who was applying for a maintenance job. She had provided a reference, but she barely remembered him now. She searched her memory. They had met during her residency on Earth. He had been, what? A patient. No, something else. She dug deeper into her personal files. Then she found it, a photo from a medical conference. She was there as a young doctor. In the background, barely visible, was a man in a military uniform. The caption read, General T-Min addresses field medics on trauma care protocols. Her hands shook. She had provided a reference for a general without even knowing it. All across the station, pieces of the puzzle came together, but nobody had the complete picture. Only fragments, glimpses of a man who had done extraordinary things but wanted to be ordinary. That evening, Haiwan found something that made her stop breathing. Deep in the Galactic archives, there was a war correspondence report from the sector wars. The reporter had been embedded with Kryn forces during the evacuation of Cairn 4. Most of the footage was damaged, but one clip survived. She played it. The video was dark and shaky. Explosions in the background. Kryn civilians running through smoke. Then the camera focused on a group of soldiers who did not look like any species the reporter recognized. Small, wearing strange armor, moving with perfect coordination. One figure stood in the center, directing everything with hand signals and quiet commands. The figure was smaller than the others, calm despite the chaos. The reporter's voice crackling with static. Unknown forces have arrived. They move like ghosts. Whoever they are getting people out. That commander there, the small one, seems to know exactly what to do. Never seen anything like it. The camera zoomed in slightly. The armor was scarred and burned, but through the helmet visor, HFY could see a face. Young, determined, human. The eyes were the same as T-Min's. The caption at the bottom read, "Unidentified human commander responsible for the liberation of Cairn 4. Estimated age 25. Name unknown." HFY paused the video. T-Min looked so different, so intense, so focused. This was a man who knew how to win impossible battles. Now he fixed air recyclers. She understood why Velthar had saluted him. How could you not honor someone who had saved your entire world, your family, your people? But she also understood why T-Min wanted to hide. The weight of that kind of responsibility would crush anyone eventually. HFY closed the file. She would not share this with anyone. It was not her story to tell. Outside her window, the station continued its normal routine. Thousands of beings living their lives, none of them knowing that the quiet maintenance worker who fixed their broken equipment had once saved millions of lives. T-Min finished his last repair of the day, a door seal in a residential section. A young Velconian family thanked him. "You keep our home safe," the mother said. "We appreciate you." "Just doing my job," T-Min replied. As he walked back to his quarters, he passed a window. His reflection stared back at him, an ordinary man with an extraordinary past. He touched the glass, looking at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there were worlds he had helped save, people who owed him their lives, monuments built in honor of victories he had won. But here he was just T-Min, the maintenance worker. And that was exactly what he wanted to be. The alarm woke T-Min at 3 in the morning, station time. He sat up immediately, already alert. Years of military training never really left you. Red emergency lights flashed in his quarters. The station-wide alert system blared. "All personnel to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Hostile vessels approaching. Repeat, hostile vessels approaching." T-Min dressed quickly and stepped into the corridor. People ran in all directions, some panicking, others trying to reach their assigned emergency positions. He moved calmly through the chaos toward the nearest information terminal. The screen showed the tactical situation. 5 ships approaching the station. Pirates, based on their irregular formation and mixed vessel types. They were still 2 hours out, but they were coming fast. T-Min's mind automatically analyzed the threat. Medium-level danger. The pirates had numbers and probably decent weapons, but they were undisciplined. Their approach pattern showed it. They were raiders, not soldiers. He made his way to the main command center. It was normally restricted, but in an emergency, the doors stayed open for critical personnel. Nobody stopped him from entering. Everyone was too focused on the crisis. The command center was chaos. Officers shouted at each other. Screens showed multiple views of the approaching ships. Station Commander Jaxer stood at the central console, his 3 eyes wide with stress. "Options?" Jaxer demanded. "We could evacuate," one officer suggested. "Get everyone to the civilian transports." "We do not have time," another said. "Those ships will be in weapons range before we can even start evacuation procedures." "What about our defenses?" "Minimal. This is a trade station, not a military outpost. We have point defense systems for debris, not warships." "Can we call for help?" "The nearest military fleet is 6 hours away." Jaxer slammed his fist on the console. "Then what do we do?" A communications officer spoke up. "Sir, the pirates are hailing us. They are demanding tribute, medical supplies, food, weapons, and people. They want workers." "Slavers," someone whispered. The room fell silent. Slavery was illegal in all galactic territories, but pirates did not care about laws. They would take what they wanted and sell whoever they captured on the black market. "We have 15,000 people on this station," Jaxer said quietly. "Civilians, families, children. I cannot just hand them over to pirates." "Then we fight," an officer said. "At least we go down fighting." "With what? Our point defense lasers, against 5 warships." Jaxer looked around desperately. "Where is Supreme Commander Velthar? His ship has weapons, real weapons." "His vessel is in dock for repairs, sir. Engines offline. They cannot fight." T-Min stood in the back of the room, watching. The officers were making the same mistakes commanders always made when they panicked. They were thinking about what they did not have instead of what they did have. "What about surrendering?" someone asked quietly. "And let them take our people? Never." The arguments continued. Precious minutes ticked away. The pirate ships got closer. T-Min stepped forward. "You are thinking about this wrong." Every head turned. Officers stared at him in shock. Some looked angry that a maintenance worker had entered the command center. Others remembered what had happened with Velthar and stayed quiet. Jaxer's eyes narrowed. "Who let you in here?" The door was open. T-Min walked toward the tactical display. "You need to stop thinking like this is a military battle. It is not." "What are you talking about?" Jaxer demanded. "Pirates are not soldiers. They are not here to conquer or destroy. They are here for profit. They want easy targets. If you make it too expensive to attack you, they will leave." "We already discussed this. We do not have weapons." "You have a space station. Use it." Before Jaxer could respond, a deep voice spoke from the doorway. "I suggest you listen to him, Commander." Supreme Commander Velthar entered the command center. His 4 arms were crossed, and his expression was serious. Jaxer looked between Velthar and T-Min. "You want me to take tactical advice from a maintenance worker?" "I want you to take tactical advice from someone who has won more battles than everyone in this room combined." Velthar walked to stand beside T-Min. "General T-Min commanded fleets when you were still learning to walk, Commander. If he says he can save this station, I believe him." The room went silent. T-Min looked at the tactical display. "How long until they reach weapons range?" An officer answered automatically. 1 hour, 43 minutes. "Good, that gives us time." T-Min started pointing at different sections of the display. "First, power down all non-essential systems. Redirect everything to the station's shields. You will not use them to block shots. You will use them to create sensor interference." "That will not stop their weapons," an officer protested. "It will make it harder for them to target accurately. Next, take your point defense systems and retarget them. Do not aim at their ships. Aim at the space around them. Create a debris field using waste materials, old equipment, anything you can jettison." "A debris field?" Jaxer looked confused. "Pirates fly fast and reckless. They do not expect resistance. Force them to slow down, to navigate carefully. Every second they waste is a second you gain." Another officer spoke up. "But that still will not stop them from attacking." "No, but this will." T-Min pointed at the maintenance section of the station. "You have 300 maintenance drones for exterior repairs, correct?" "Yes, but those are just utility drones." "Reprogram them. Put them on autonomous patrol patterns around the station. Add bright running lights. From a distance, they will look like defense drones or small fighters. They will see through that once they get close." "They will not get close, not if we do this right." T-Min pulled up the station's power grid. "See these power conduits? Route extra power through them at irregular intervals. It will create energy spikes that look like weapons charging." Understanding dawned on several faces. "We make them think we are stronger than we are," Haiwan said from her station in the corner. "Exactly. Pirates are bullies. They do not fight fair fights. If they think this station has hidden defenses, weapons they cannot see, drones they cannot count, they will hesitate. And if they do not, Jaxer asked. Then we use the station itself as a weapon. T-Min zoomed in on the docking arms. These can move, correct, rotate and extend. Yes, for docking procedures. Use them. If any ship gets too close, extend the arms in their path. Force them to dodge. Use every tractor beam, every maintenance tether, every piece of equipment you have. Make them work for every meter of space. Make it expensive. Velthar made a sound that might have been a laugh. I remember this strategy. You used something similar at the Battle of Nexus Station. That was different, T-Min said. You had fewer resources and faced better odds. You still won. Jaxer looked at his officers. Can we do this? Can we implement these changes in time? The senior tech officer nodded slowly. Yes, if we start now, but it will take everyone working together. Then make it happen. Jaxer turned to T-Min. His expression was conflicted, pride fighting with necessity. What else do we need to do? For the next 90 minutes, T-Min directed the station's defense like a conductor leading an orchestra. He spoke quietly, giving clear instructions. Officers who had ignored him days ago now rushed to follow his commands. Hai-1 rerouted power systems. Rinzhou and the security team armed themselves and took defensive positions at critical access points. Engineering teams reprogrammed the maintenance drones. Everyone had a job, everyone contributed. T-Min stood at the tactical display, watching everything come together. His mind was clear, focused. This was familiar territory. He had done this 1,000 times before, analyzing, planning, adapting. Velthar stood beside him, silent but present. You could have stayed in your quarters, the Kryn commander said quietly. No, I could not. Because of duty. Because 15,000 people live here, including friends. T-Min glanced at Hai-1, working frantically at her console. I could not hide while they suffered. The warrior always returns, Velthar said. You can run from it, but when people need you, you answer. It is who you are. I am a maintenance worker now. You are both, you were always both. The pirates entered weapons range. Here they come, an officer announced. On the screen, the 5 ships approached. Then they encountered the debris field. Their formation broke as they dodged floating wreckage. Energy spikes lit up their sensors. The maintenance drones swarmed like a cloud of fighters. They are slowing down, someone said with surprise. They are confused, T-Min corrected. Scared, even. They expected an easy target. Now they see something they do not understand. The lead pirate ship sent another communication. Orbital Station Apex 7, stand down your defenses and prepare to be boarded. T-Min looked at Jaxer. Tell them no. What? Tell them this station is under military protection. Tell them to leave now or face the consequences. Jaxer hesitated, then nodded to the communications officer. The message was sent. There was a long pause. The pirate ships hung in space, their weapons charged but not firing. They are scanning us, an officer said. They are trying to figure out if we are bluffing. T-Min watched the tactical display. This was the critical moment, the moment that decided everything. They are breaking formation, someone shouted. They are leaving. The pirate ships turned away, accelerating back into deep space. The command center erupted in cheers. Officers hugged each other. Some cried with relief. T-Min quietly stepped back from the tactical display. His job was done. Jaxer approached him. The station commander looked tired but grateful. You saved us, all of us. You saved yourselves. I just showed you how. That is not, Jaxer stopped. He brought his hand to his chest in a Velconian salute. Thank you, General. T-Min nodded once, then turned to leave. Velthar followed him into the corridor, away from the celebrating crowd. You cannot go back now, the Kryn commander said. Everyone knows what you did. They will forget, people always do. Will you? Min looked at his hands. They were steady, but he could still feel the weight of all those lives depending on him. No, I never forget. Then perhaps it is time to stop running. I am not running, I am just, Min paused. I am just trying to be better than I was. Velthar placed one of his 4 hands on Min's shoulder. You already are, old friend. You already are. The days following the pirate attack were strange for Min. Everyone on the station knew his name now. They knew what he had done, both during the attack and years ago during the war. People tried to honor him. The station council voted to give him a commendation. He declined it. A news agency wanted to interview him. He refused. Someone started a petition to make him head of security. He asked them to stop. But he could not stop people from looking at him differently. When he walked through the corridors now, people stepped aside respectfully. Some saluted, even though he wore his maintenance coveralls and carried his toolbox. Children pointed at him. Parents told their kids stories about the human general who saved the station. Min hated it. He just wanted to go back to fixing things. 3 days after the attack, he sat in the small cafeteria during his lunch break. He had found a table in the back corner, trying to be invisible, but even here, people whispered and stared. Haiwan sat down across from him without asking, "You look miserable." "I am fine." "You are a terrible liar." She opened her food container. "Everyone wants to celebrate you, and you look like you want to disappear." "I do want to disappear." "Why, you saved 15,000 lives. You should be proud." Min poked at his food. "I spent years breaking things. Ships, defenses, lives. I made decisions that got good people killed. When the war ended, I needed to do something different, something that built instead of destroyed. Fixing air recyclers." "Why not? Air recyclers keep people alive. Water purifiers provide clean water. Door seals keep families safe. That matters, maybe more than winning battles." Haiwan was quiet for a moment. "You cannot hide anymore. You know that, right? The whole galaxy knows who you are now." "I know." "So what will you do?" Min looked out the window at the stars. "The same thing I have been doing. My job." A young Velconian child approached their table shyly. The child's parent tried to call them back, but the child ignored them. "Excuse me," the child said in a small voice. "Are you really a general?" Min looked at the child. Big eyes, nervous hands clutching a toy, just a kid. "I was a long time ago." "Did you really save the whole station?" "A lot of people saved the station. I just helped." "My mom says you are a hero." Min smiled gently. "Your mom is very kind, but I am just a person who does his job." "What job?" "I fix things that are broken." The child thought about this. "Like my toy, the arm fell off." The parent rushed over, apologizing. "I am so sorry, sir. They did not mean to bother you." "It is fine." Min held out his hand to the child. "Can I see your toy?" The child handed over a small action figure. One of the arms had indeed broken off. Min examined it carefully, then pulled a small tool from his pocket. With quick, precise movements, he reattached the arm using a tiny bolt from his keychain. "They are good as new." He handed it back. The child's face lit up. "Thank you." As the child and parent walked away, Haiwan smiled. "See, you are still fixing things." "Small things." "Small things matter too." That afternoon, Min received a message. Supreme Commander Velthar was leaving the station tomorrow and wanted to speak with him before departing. They met in one of the station's observation decks. Through the massive windows, Velthar's warship hung in space, repairs complete and ready to fly. "I will be heading to the core worlds," Velthar said. "The Galactic Council wants a full report on the pirate activity in this sector." "You should recommend increased patrols," Min said. "Those pirates will try again. Maybe not here, but somewhere else." "I will." Velthar turned to face him. I also want to ask you something. Come with me. The fleet needs experienced commanders, your tactical mind, your strategic thinking. We could use someone like you. Min shook his head. That life is behind me. Is it? You saved this station using the same skills you used during the war. I saved this station because people needed help. That is different from seeking out battles. You could help more people, save more lives. Or I could stay here and fix air recyclers. Keep this small corner of the galaxy running smoothly. That helps people too. Velthar studied him with his 4 eyes. You really have changed. I am trying to. The Kryn commander placed all 4 hands over his heart in respect. Then I will not try to change your mind. But know this, old friend. If you ever need anything, you only have to ask. My people owe you a debt we can never repay. You owe me nothing. I did what needed to be done, same as you would have. Perhaps, but not everyone makes that choice. Velthar moved toward the exit, then paused. The galaxy thinks heroes must be warriors, but sometimes the bravest thing is choosing peace when you know how to make war. After Velthar left, Min stood alone in the observation deck for a long time. He thought about the offer, about returning to command, about having purpose again. But then he thought about the Velconian child's toy, about the grateful family whose door seal he had fixed, about the workers who depended on the systems he maintained. His purpose was here. Later that week, Rinzhou found him replacing a water filter in a residential section. "Can I help?" the young security officer asked. "You know how to replace water filters?" "No, but I can learn." Min smiled slightly. "Hand me that wrench." They worked together in comfortable silence for a while. Rinzhou watched carefully, learning the process. "Can I ask you something?" Rinzhou said finally. "You will ask anyway." "How did you know, during the pirate attack, how did you know they would back down?" Min tightened a bolt before answering. "I did not know for certain, but I understood them. Pirates are predictable. They want profit without risk. Make the risk too high and profit does not matter anymore. What if you were wrong? What if they had attacked anyway? Then we would have fought with what we had. Sometimes you cannot win, but you can make it cost them everything. Most bullies are not willing to pay that price." "Is that what you learned during the war?" Min set down his wrench and looked at Rinzhou. "The war taught me a lot of things. How to read enemy movements, how to predict behavior, how to win against bad odds. But you know what the most important lesson was?" "What?" "Knowing when not to fight. Understanding that not every problem needs violence to solve it. That sometimes the best victory is the one where nobody dies." "But you were famous for your victories." "I was famous for winning battles. That is not the same as victory. Real victory is peace, safety, people living their lives without fear." Min stood up and tested the water filter. It hummed perfectly. "This family will have clean water now. Their children will be healthy. That is a real victory." Rinzhou helped him pack up the tools. "Will you train me? Teach me what you know." "About water filters." "About everything. How to think like you do. How to see solutions others miss." Min considered this. "I can teach you what I know about maintenance work. The rest you will have to learn through experience." "I can work with that." From that day forward, Rinzhou became Min's unofficial apprentice. Whenever the young officer had time off, he would find Min and help with repairs. He learned about air recyclers and water purifiers. But he also learned about patience, about careful observation, about understanding systems and how they connected. Haiwan started joining them for lunch regularly. She brought other station workers who wanted to meet the quiet general. Min never told war stories, but he listened to their problems and occasionally offered solutions. A Chitauri merchant complained about disputes with suppliers. Min suggested a different approach to negotiations. It worked. A Luminari engineer struggled with a complex systems problem. T-Min looked at it for 5 minutes and found the issue. The engineer later said it was brilliant. Slowly, T-Min built something he had not had in years. A community. Friends. People who valued him not for what he had been, but for who he was now. Months passed. The station returned to normal routines. The story of the pirate attack became legend, told and retold until it barely resembled what actually happened. But T-Min did not care about the legends. He cared about the water purifier on level 7 that needed maintenance. He cared about the family whose air recycler was making strange noises. He cared about teaching Rinzhou the right way to calibrate a door seal. One day, he was working in a lower deck when he heard crying. A small Kryn child sat against the wall, tears running down their face. "Are you lost?" T-Min asked gently. The child nodded. "What is your name?" "Kurla." "Where are your parents, Kurla?" "I do not know. I was exploring and I got lost, and now I cannot find them." T-Min sat down beside the child. He pulled out his data pad and accessed the station's directory. "What is your family name?" The child told him. T-Min found the family's quarters and sent a message to the parents. Then he waited with the child, talking about simple things, favorite foods, favorite games. The child calmed down. 10 minutes later, a panicked Kryn adult rushed around the corner. "Kurla," the parent swept up the child in all 4 arms. "Thank the stars, I was so worried." The parent turned to T-Min. "Thank you so much for finding them. You are," recognition dawned. "You are General T-Min." "Just T-Min, and I did not find them. They found me." "Still, thank you. How can I repay you?" "No need, just keep them close. This station is safe, but children should not wander alone." After they left, T-Min sat there for a moment. The encounter reminded him why he did this work, why he chose this life. He stood up, picked up his toolbox, and walked down the corridor. A broken light panel caught his attention. He stopped and examined it. Faulty wiring, easy fix. As he worked, people passed by. Some recognized him and nodded respectfully. Others did not know him and just saw a maintenance worker doing his job. Both were fine with him. When the light flickered back to life, T-Min smiled. Such a small thing. A tiny light in a massive station in the infinite darkness of space. But it mattered, because when darkness surrounded you, even the smallest light could guide you home. He closed his toolbox and walked away. Down the corridor, around the corner, disappearing into the station's infrastructure. Just another worker. Just a man who fixed things. And that was exactly who he wanted to be. Years ago, he had been a general who won impossible battles, but today, he was T-Min. He fixed air recyclers and water purifiers. He helped lost children find their parents. He taught young officers to think differently. He built instead of destroyed. He healed instead of hurt. And somewhere, in the quiet moments between repairs, he found the peace he had been searching for all along. The galaxy might remember him as a general, but he would remember himself as something better. A man who chose kindness over conflict. A man who found purpose in simple work. A man who proved that the greatest strength was not in knowing how to fight, but in choosing when not to. And in the end, that was the only victory that truly mattered.